Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Jo Re Mi Fa So La Keto. I'm Jo Re and I do weekly vlogs and meal prep videos to share my keto health journey. If you watched my last video, I shared a little bit about myself and how my last year on keto has gone. And I'm very proud to say that I have lost over 50 pounds so far. Today, we're gonna go over what I'm gonna meal prep for the week. So I intermittent fast and eat 2 meals a day and a small bulletproof coffee. So I meal prep for 3 meals every week. This week we are making ribeye steak with cheesy asparagus, kung pao chicken, and beef stroganoff. So let's go ahead and get started. So here are all the ingredients that I have for the recipes this week. Over here, I have the ingredients for the mushroom and beef stroganoff. So I have the mushrooms, my ground beef right here. We have some onions, some butter, some beef bouillon instead of some beef stock. If you have beef stock or beef broth, you could definitely use that. This also uses some sour cream, some lemon juice, some Worcestershire sauce, and some paprika. And I will go ahead and put a link to the recipe in the description below. Actually, all of the recipes are below. In the middle here, I have the ingredients for the cheesy asparagus. So I have my cheese, which I'm gonna use an Italian style blend. And then I have my asparagus. I'm also gonna be using some garlic and then maybe some Parmesan cheese. We'll see once I get there. You can also see that the ribeye steaks are missing. I actually went ahead and made those yesterday, so I'll just show a picture of those here. I made them on the griddle on the top of my stove, and they turned out really good, so I was happy about that. But I did buy a sous vide machine. Never tried this before. Everyone's been talking about it, so maybe next time when I make the ribeye, I will make it that way. Then over here on this side, I have the ingredients for the kung pao chicken. So this is from Keto Connect, and I've made this one time before and it is so good. So I was really excited to make this again. So even though it does kind of look like a lot of ingredients, when you're making Asian inspired food or Asian food, there are some staples that you want to make sure that you have. So I would invest in those and keep them on hand. So I'm going to be using some low sodium soy sauce. You can also use coconut aminos. I know that people tend to like that a little bit better on keto. I personally don't love the flavor, so I'm gonna use the actual soy sauce. Also some sesame oil. I have crushed garlic. A lot of the recipes call for crushed ginger, chopped ginger. I like buying this in a jar, or I have seen like in the freezer section, they have little like ginger packets with little teaspoons that you can pop out and keep in the freezer. The ginger can be a lot of work, right? You got to peel it and chop it up, and I definitely don't want to do all that. So spending a little extra money and buying it in a jar is totally worth it for me. And then I have some sriracha sauce. If you have some garlic sauce or Thai chili sauce, that also works really well in this recipe. And then I also have the chicken, which I've already chopped into pieces. I already chopped my red bell pepper and my celery. And then we also have some peanuts and some xanthan gum for thickening this up, and I do have some monk fruit sweetener. It does call for some stevia is what it calls for, but I don't have any of that on hand. I thought I did, but it expired like a year ago, so that tells you how frequently I use stevia. But since I already made the ribeye, I'm honestly just gonna work on these 2 recipes, the mushroom and beef stroganoff and the kung pao chicken. I'm gonna cook them almost at the same time on the stove. So let's head over there. So over here on the stove, I have my butter warming up and some avocado oil. I think the recipe for the kung pao calls for coconut oil, but I'm honestly not a fan of coconut oil. I can definitely taste the coconutty part to it. So I'm just gonna use a more neutral avocado oil here. So let's go ahead and get those added. I will say though, I added way more mushrooms than what the recipe called for. I think it only calls for like 4 ounces, and this container is 16 ounces, and we know how much mushrooms shrink, so I'm not really sure why I called for so little mushrooms, but I added way more. I'd rather have more veggies, make it a little bit more hearty. So while this is cooking up, I'm gonna go ahead and get the sauce prepared for the Kung Pao chicken. So in the sauce, I have the soy sauce or the liquid aminos, the beef broth. I'm gonna be adding the beef bouillon because I don't have any beef broth. I'm also adding the sriracha, the sesame oil, the rice wine vinegar, and the sweetener. So I'm gonna get that all mixed together. You like my little baby whisk? Oh, and I do want to point out that I am doubling the recipe for the Kung Pao chicken. I think the calories in one serving is like 226 calories or something like that, which to me is definitely not enough for just one meal on its own, so I'm doubling that. And then, like I said, I don't know, quadrupled the mushrooms on the stroganoff. Okay, so my mushrooms are done, so I set them aside. In this pan over here, we have our ground beef, and I'm also gonna add our onions and the Worcestershire sauce, whatever, how you say it, Worcestershire. So I'm gonna say it. Oh, and I also forgot that we're gonna add the beef broth as well. So I have the water, and then of course the bouillon, what I'm using today. Almost forgot the spatulator. So over here on the Kung Pao chicken side, we're gonna add our vegetables. So that's the celery and the peppers. So next on the Kung Pao chicken side, we just let that cook for a little bit to get those veggies a little softer. So now I'm gonna add in the peanuts and the garlic and the ginger. On the mushroom stroganoff side, I'm going to add back in the mushrooms, and then I'm going to add the paprika and the lemon juice right now. And then the last thing we're going to add on the Kung Pao chicken is put the sauce in the pan. So I like to cut corners when I can when I'm cooking. So the lemon juice that I got, I didn't buy a lemon and squeeze it and do all of that. I tend to buy this pure lemon juice, and then I can add it as I need it. It's just so much less work than me trying to do all that with a real lemon. For the Kung Pao chicken, I just noticed that the recipe called for ground ginger. So you could use that instead of fresh. That definitely is easier, but I do think that fresh tastes better. Like I said before, I do recommend that you buy the actual like crushed ginger in the jar, because that does taste better, but if you have ground ginger, that'll do as well. So right now what I'm doing, I'm going to let the Kung Pao chicken reduce and thicken up a little bit, and then I probably will add a little bit of xanthan gum to make it a little bit thicker. Remember, for xanthan gum, a little goes a long way. You don't need a ton, just a little sprinkle, and it also doesn't thicken like right away, so don't add some, wait a couple minutes and say, oh, I don't think it's thick enough, and add more. You're gonna have like a pudding. So do a little bit, give it like 5-8 minutes, then add more if you need to add more. On the mushroom stroganoff side, the last step that we're gonna do is just add in our sour cream. So you need about one of these small containers worth of sour cream. I also have seen people add cream cheese, heavy cream. It's really up to you. You do want to take it off the heat because you don't want the cream to curdle. You could also add some of the juice into here and mix it up. Try to make it a little bit warm and temper it before you put it back in. I'm probably going to try that because I just don't want that to happen. I'm doing it over the pan in case I make a mess. See, I already did. Because I have so much mushrooms, I don't have that much liquid, so I'm gonna add a little bit of heavy cream. You'll probably add some water, but I wanna make it a little creamier. Both of these are basically done now, and what I love about these is it's just like the one pan meals, right? Everything in one pan for this one, everything in one pan for this one. I also have the ribeyes and the cheesy asparagus, so I'm gonna make the cheesy asparagus now, and then we'll go ahead and taste everything when it's done. And basically these both are done, right? I put about a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum in there. Wanna let that sauce thicken up just a little bit, and then the mushroom stroganoff is done. So the last thing I'm gonna make here is the cheesy asparagus. So I have my asparagus here. I'm gonna modify the recipe just a little bit because I wanna put this in the air fryer and not in the oven. And I'm also only gonna cook like what I'm gonna eat for a meal. I'm not gonna pre-cook like, you know, all of it. It doesn't really hold up very well. The other thing I modified is I put some Parmesan cheese in the oil, so I didn't just do the oil and garlic mixture that's in the recipe. But I'm gonna mix this all up, and I'm gonna throw it in the air fryer at 400. I don't know, maybe like 8 minutes, and then I'm gonna check on it to make sure I'm not burning anything. And then we're gonna put the mozzarella cheese on at the end and brown that on top. So I'm gonna come back and show you how this turns out. So here's my cheesy asparagus. It's a little crispy, so I would say to put it in the air fryer for less time. I did for 8 minutes and then 2 minutes for the cheese on top, but I would probably cut that down to maybe 5 minutes next time I make this. I'm sure it'll still taste good though. And then we have the mushroom stroganoff. I put a little bit of dried parsley on there. And then here's the kung pao chicken. Oh, it looks so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and try all of these. So the first one I'm gonna try is the cheesy, crispy asparagus. I'm just gonna use my fingers for this. That's pretty good. The garlic, the Parmesan. It's a little overdone. Definitely won't put it in the air fryer for as long. Quincy, you gonna say hi back there? So next I'm gonna try a bite of the mushroom and beef stroganoff. It's pretty good. And you know me, I like to add spice and heat to everything, so I think this will taste really good with a little sriracha on the top. And the last thing I'm gonna try is this kung pao chicken. Oh my gosh, look how good. That is so good. I don't know about you, but that's one thing that I have missed on keto is Chinese food. A lot of the sauces they like to add sugar to, or they bread the chicken. What I love about this recipe is it really does remind me of like Chinese takeout. This is one I'm super excited about eating this week. You could also put this over like some cauliflower fried rice. I know there's a lot of good recipes out there. Last time I made this, I did make it with a cauliflower rice, but I found like I just wanted more protein in it. I wanted more of the meat and of the kung pao chicken. So I decided to make it on its own this time. Like I mentioned before, what I'm eating with the asparagus is some ribeye steak. I wasn't gonna try it tonight. I did try some yesterday when I made it and it was delicious. So luckily, I know ribeye can be really expensive right now. It was on sale at my local King Soopers a couple weeks ago, and even though I wasn't planning on making it just yet, I went ahead and bought some because I knew that I could put it in the freezer and make it when I wanted it. I hope you liked everything that I made this week. This was actually a really easy meal prep. The most of the work was just chopping some of the vegetables. I would say that this meal prep took me maybe an hour, hour and a half to put together, and that's even counting chopping everything. Everything else you kind of just throw in a pan and cook. For me, the reason why I meal prep is because it does save me time. I know it's gonna take me an hour or two, sometimes 3 on a weekend to meal prep for the week, but I figure if I'm going to make a different meal every night, that's also prep, that's planning different meals and then cooking them that night. And I know it's probably gonna take me 30 minutes or more to cook every single night. To me, this saves time because I can make all of my meals at one time and then just eat them throughout the week. If you are somebody that maybe wants more variety, you can always do 4 meals. You can always do meal prep a couple times a week so you're not eating the same meals as frequently. For me, I really like meal prepping. I don't get tired of eating the same things multiple times a week, and it's mostly because I just make a really good, delicious food that when it is time to eat, I'm looking forward to it. With keto now, I refuse to eat food that I don't like, and I actually think that it's pretty easy to stick to that. Let me know what you think. Do you meal prep or do you prefer to cook every day? Okay, well that's all that I have for the week. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon to get a notification every time I post a new video. I'll see you next time.
Bye.